All right. Determine the exact value of the following. So what I want you to get used to is write it as a function of its related acute angle and evaluate. But first of all, this is greater than 360. So let's find a coterminal angle. So you know that 510 minus 360, this is equal to tan of 150. Okay. Now, you know that if you draw a picture, 150 ends up there. So this is equal to tan of 180 degrees minus 30 degrees. So you know your related acute angle is 30 degrees. So this is equal to tan of 30. We just have to determine using the CAST rule, C-A-S-T, when it ends up here, is tan positive or negative? In this quadrant, is tan positive or negative? So this is negative tan of 30. Now using your special triangle that hopefully you've memorized by now, the tan of 30 degrees is minus 1 over root 3. Opposite over adjacent. Does somebody mind closing the door? Do you mind closing the door? Thank you. May I answer any questions? So this one just had an extra step. We needed to find a smaller coterminal angle, and so we subtracted 360. Then this is just an extra step to find the related acute angle. You can write this step out here. Usually on a test, what I'm marking is this and this.
So the third one is an extra step.
Yeah. These are, you need to get this down smaller to help you make sense out of it. Okay. Good? Are we good? Can I explain anything better? Want me to leave it up for a bit? Sure. Okay? All right. Determine the measure of angle A if 0 is less than or equal to A is, so they're telling you A is between 0 and 360. Since the restrictions are in degrees, right? They're telling you the angle is in degrees. Your answer has to be in degrees. Now this is where it gets tricky because you have to remember the CAST rule, right? C-A-S-T. Now notice this trig ratio is positive. And you know that sine is positive in this quadrant because all the trig ratios are positive. Sine is positive in this quadrant because the CAST rule tells you sine is positive in this quadrant. Can you see that angle A could be two answers? It could either be an angle that's in this quadrant, like an angle with the terminal arm in this quadrant, or an angle with the terminal arm in that quadrant. So you're going to have two answers because this is positive and it has sine is positive here and here. So let's look at this. Let's find first the related acute angle and then we'll worry about our angles. Angle A, the related acute angle for angle A is equal to inverse sine 0.57781. Notice I'm taking the inverse of the positive ratio. If this was negative, I would have to take the inverse of the positive ratio. Always do inverse of positive to get your related acute angle. Now, if I were to stick that in my calculator, I would get approximately 35.3 degrees. And you can make sure you're in degrees. I would get approximately 35.3 degrees. So, therefore, I know my angle A, which ends up in the first quadrant. Angle A equals 35.3 degrees, right? Or angle A will equal the one, could equal the one that ends up in the second quadrant, and that means I go 180 degrees minus 35.3 degrees, and that is approximately 144.7 degrees. So I have two possible answers for A for this ratio. There are two answers for A in this, for this ratio. Because they're saying angle A could be any angle between 0 and 360. There's two angles for A that are positive, one in the first, one in the second, and I can calculate those. Yes. Well, the first, I imagine it's the first half of your test will be no calculator, but the second half of your test will be calculator, and that's when you'll be able to do questions like this.
You're gonna have different packages for the test.
Okay, let's look at this one. They're telling you angle A, cos of A is negative. So let's just look at this. Ask yourself where cosine is negative. Well, cosine is negative if its terminal arm ends up here, right? Because only tan is positive here, or here, right? Cosine is positive in this quadrant, in that quadrant. So the first thing we're going to do is find the related acute angle. So angle A, the related acute angle, we're going to do the inverse of cos of the positive ratio. So the related acute angle is, if I were to punch that into my calculator, well, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that right now. I'm going to have to find a calculator. Can anybody find inverse cos of the positive ratio for me? 64.6. Okay, let's say it's approximately 64.6 degrees. All right. Okay. So, if it ends up here, angle A must be 180 minus 64.64. Or angle A must be 180 plus the related acute angle. So 64 point,
44.6.
okay. Okay, so these are my two answers. First you find the related acute angle. Then you, if it ends up here in this quadrant, you're going 180 minus the related acute angle. If it ends up here, you're going 180 plus the related acute angle. Can I explain anything better? Uh-oh. Now they give you a question. Ooh. It's in radians. If the restrictions are in radians, your answer has to be in radians. So this is where you're going to have to go in your calculator and put your calculator in radians. I have to go mode, 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 press 2 for radians. Right? Make sure your calculator is in radians. Okay. If you have any issues with that, I'll show you when I finish the lesson, okay? Sine theta equals 4 over 5. We know that theta is anywhere between 0 and 2 pi. Note, since the restrictions are in radians, your answer should be in radians. Now, just draw a little chart, do your cast. Sine is positive here and here, right? So A will equal the related acute angle. Since it ends up here, it's going to be 180 minus the related acute angle. Okay. So, theta RAA is equal to the inverse sine of 4 over 5. So we go shift, sine, open bracket, 0.8, because 4 over 5 is 0.8. And that is equal to approximately 0.9273 radians. So this angle, the related acute angle is 0.9273 radians. So angle theta, we know that it's positive here, so angle theta will equal our related acute angle, approximately 0.9273. How will I find this one if I have to write it in radians? Pi radians minus 0.9273, which is, it's all approximate, right? So I'm going to go shift pi minus my answer, and I get approximately 2.2143. 0.2143. Yeah, that's the answer there. So there's one answer. There's my second answer right there. There and there. So you have to be able to pick up all the answers. I'm going to do example 10, and then I'm going to let you guys do example 9, and I want to walk around and see if I can answer any one-on-one questions, okay? Let's skip to example 10, and I'm going to walk around and watch you guys do example 9. Notice this. If tan theta equals root 3, oh my, they want all the answers between negative 360 and positive 360. So they want all the answers going this way, as well as all the answers going this way. How many answers are we going to have? 4 answers, exactly. Because we're going from negative 360 up to 0. And then from 0 to 360. Okay. What's our theta RAA? Is equal to what? Theta RAA is equal to inverse tan of the positive ratio. Well, in this case, it's positive. You know, inverse tan, we didn't even have to use a calculator here because that's root 3 is a part of our special triangle, right? Root 3. 1, 2. This is 60, 30. Right away you know it's 30 degrees, right? Inverse of tan, well, root 3 over 1 is root 3, so inverse tan is equal to 60 degrees. Or our related acute angle is 60 degrees. So where is tan positive? It's positive here and it's positive here. C-A-S-T. It's C-A-S-T. Tan is positive here and here. Tell me, what is one of the answers for theta? What is one of the answers for theta? What's the easiest answer? 60 degrees. What's another answer for theta? 120? If I go 120, I end up there. Is tan positive in the second quadrant? Yeah?
Isn't it 360 minus 240?
Right. So theta equals, if it ends up here, it's 180 plus 60, right? 180 plus 60 for its related acute angle. That's 240 degrees, right? Now we have to get this one. We have to come over here. So this would be negative what to end up here for a related acute angle of 60? Yes. Right? Negative 120 means this is our related acute angle of 60, right? So this must be negative 120. I need answers in the negative. Now I need this answer. What would this answer be? Negative 360 plus 60. Right? Negative 300 gets me into this quadrant and the related acute angle of 60. So this is negative 300, negative 120, positive 240, and also positive 60. There are 4 answers here. Yes.
Oh, no, sorry, I was
Do we need another example? Give me your cell phone. I want to put it right here. Seriously. Put it here. Can I explain anything better? Okay, let me just maybe show you something a little extra. Because I know tan is positive, I need all answers in this, going this way in a negative direction, so that's going to be here, and that's going to be here. My related acute angle has to be 60. Can you see that this is negative 120? One of the answers has to be negative 120. Now, also going in the negative direction, one of my answers has to be here. So can you see that if the related acute angle is 60, this must be negative 300 to get a related acute angle of 60? This has to be negative 120 degrees to get a related acute angle of 60, like they're ending up here or here. Now, for all the degrees from 0 to 360, it either ends up here, So you know it must be 60, or it ends up here, right? Castral, C-A-S-T. It must end up here. To end up here, you're going 180 plus 60. Okay, this is what I want you to work on number 9, and I'm going to walk around and answer any of your questions.